time where we talk about the beautiful game on the SportsMax Zone. Only 5 match weeks remain in the preliminary stage of the Ray and Nephew Jamaica Premier League, and as you would expect, all 14 teams are still fighting for important positions, whether it be for the top 2 or to secure an automatic semi-final berth. Top 6 to qualify for the playoffs, or finishing top 12 to avoid relegation. And it was not different for the midweek round of fixtures. Here are the results for match week 34. So we have a Mount Pleasant win against Bay United. 3 goals in that win. A 0-0 draw between Harbourview and Racing United. Portmore just needed 1 goal to defeat Malines United. Same for Chapelton Maroons against Don Beholden. A 3-1 win for Humber Lion against Arnett Gardens. A 1-0 draw between Tivoli Gardens and Cavalier. Same result, Waterhouse drawing 1-0 against Montego Bay United. And now looking ahead to what we can expect for match week 35. So Mount Pleasant will be up against Harbourview. Humber Lion, they play Portmore United. Malines up against Waterhouse. Cavalier versus Fair United. Montego Bay United will be seeing Don Beholden. That's on Sunday. Now on Monday, we'll have Racing United versus Chapelton Maroons. And Arnett, they play Tivoli Gardens. Well, before we welcome our in-house football analyst, Ligier Williams, let's just take a look at the table now. When you see Mount Pleasant at the top on 72 points, Arnett in second, Montego Bay United in third, and Portmore United in fourth. Of course, at the bottom of the table, you see Humber Lion, Malines United, and Bay United. So, Liz is with us, and I think I can welcome him now. Liz, it's always a good time when you can join us on set. I mean, a lot of matches to look forward to coming up on the channel. Which one are you looking forward to most? Well, on the weekend.
Well, most definitely that has to be the Garden Derby. Arnett Gardens versus Tivoli Gardens. That's I would say, the biggest. Well, I'm not saying the biggest rivalry, but it certainly produces, I would say, from what I've seen, the most exciting games. Last season, they had a contender for game of the season, that 3-1 game at Stadium East, and then this season they already have a contender, a game earlier in the season. That was a 5-3 victory for Arnett Gardens. So, yeah, these games never tend to disappoint, and I'm expecting another humdinger down in the jungle on Monday.
Yeah, and we know what the vibe is like down in the jungle. You know, it's always a good time. But let's talk about storylines going into this matchup, because in my introduction, I told the viewers that, you know, right now it's peak time and there's a lot on the line for various teams. Talk to me about them.
Yeah, storylines going into that game specifically,
yes.
I would say, first of all, we can't talk about Arnett Gardens in any capacity and not talk about Warner W.B. Brown, the superstar that he is, scoring goals for fun. Even in their loss yesterday against Humber Lion, he scored again 20 goals on the season now, and he's performing at an extraordinary level. I think I honestly think he's in terms of profile of striker, I think he's the best one I've seen come out of Jamaica since probably Shamar Nicholson. So I do think that Warner Brown is doing great. That's something to look out for. For Tivoli, they are, they're in 6th place right now, but it's so close with the top 6 in terms of Racing and Waterhouse just behind them. So getting a win would be so important for them. But they haven't beaten Arnett Gardens this season. It's been 2 losses for them. So Tivoli, they'll need to do better. Obviously, players to look out for: Anthony Nelson with 11 goals, Nikolai Fuller, who has been one of the best players in the Premier League this season with 9 goals. Especially look out if he gets a free kick anywhere within I would say, 25 yards, because he's turning into a real dead ball specialist, and his last 3 league goals have been free kicks. Something to look out for as well, kind of niche in terms of the game, but Sir Lance, I know you would remember specifically Waterhouse over the past few seasons when they were getting to Jamaica Premier League finals. There was a specific one where you would say, Waterhouse probably should be favourites for this one, but Marcel Fuzzygale had an appointment elsewhere with the Jamaica team. Yeah. He left, and by the time he came back, everything was off the rails.
That was the under-20 team,
yeah,
national coach, yeah.
I think there's a little bit of intrigue when it comes down to coaches having double duty, and that's the same for Xavier Gilbert right now. He won't be here with the Arnett Gardens team because he has to go and join up with the Reggae Girls team, as he's one of the coaches there. So that's something to look out for as well, because based on the evidence we've seen, he wasn't there yesterday, and they went down to Effortville and got beaten, I would say, rather handily. So that's something to look out for. But I think regardless, it's going to be a fantastic game. I will be there, of course. So if there's anyone who just don't want to watch a football specifically and they just want some company, I'll be there as well. You can come on down and
Seriously?
we can watch some Real Navy Jamaica Premier League together.
Is this what you're using the SportsMax platform for, to get friends?
I was going to say friends, but yeah, we can talk about some
people
football.
to hang with you.
Desperate much.
I was wondering if you're going to wear that shirt to the match, because
No,
that's a Tivoli colours there.
No, you see, one thing George taught me,
Yes.
he said, this is an orange shirt. Down in Tivoli, they wear tangerine.
Oh.
So it's a difference, because I can't wear this shirt down there. I usually wear like...
It looks similar, though. You'd accept that, yes.
Yeah, I have to wear like a nice yellow.
Yes.
I can't wear red either.
Yes.
Because I don't want the lines to get crossed. Probably, I can't wear green either. Probably a black. We'll probably have to go with black.
Safe,
Who knows?
safe.
Yeah.
That's Mariah. You see this guy over here?
He's an
He's a
idiot.
desperate idiot.
Oh, you upgraded.
Please don't bet that else to this part of the segment. You don't love it.
I
We
want
would
to
have
ask you
another
quickly, because
promo.
we want to move on from the Arnett Tivoli clash, although it is the big clash of the weekend, because you just referenced their loss to Humberland at Effortville. Unbeaten now in their last 4 games, Humberland, including a draw against Montego Bay United and wins against Cavalier and Arnett. Alex Thomas is there now coaching, replacing Duque from earlier on in the season. Alex had been in Guyana coaching the Slingers FC last season. How much impact has he been having with this Humberland team? Because I haven't been covering the matches like you have been, but on the face of it, it does appear as if, even though his start was a little shaky, he's making he's getting some traction.
Yeah, it's been massive. It's genuinely been massive what he has done with this Humberland team. Looking at their squad, especially a few weeks ago, I don't think I would wrong anyone for saying that they have the weakest squad in the Jamaica Premier League. And then coming into a situation where Humberland were in last place, not picking up any results, he came into a pretty desperate situation. And when you mention the wins that they've had, it's been against some really good opposition, and 2 things he has lamented since his time. I wouldn't say he lamented the first part, but one thing he said pretty early in his reign was that he's going to look like a genius when he keeps Humberland up. And so far, he's looking pretty smart, I'll say. And then also that a lot of their remaining games will be played at Effortville. So I think he was banking on the fact that Humberland would have a lot of home advantage, and that would tell and play for them. And it has been, because 2 times they faced 2 of the best teams in the league in Cavalier and Arnett Gardens, and they have beaten both of them by 3-1 at their home venue in Effortville, Clarendon. So that's telling for them. And they have, I believe, 3 or 4 more home games for the rest of the season. So I think Humberland are looking pretty odds-on based on the current standings of things to be staying up and probably doing so pretty comfortably.
Yeah, great to see Alex Thomas doing a good job there at Humberland. Quickly, the battle for the number 2 spot at the moment between Montego Bay and Arnett Gardens intensifies. Mobe dropping points today this week in a draw, and Arnett losing. So they have the same number of points as Arnett at the moment, but Arnett just a little better off on goal difference. How do you see this weekend changing that? Because it would appear as if Montego Bay United, facing Dunbeholden, have an easier assignment than Arnett has against Tivoli Gardens.
Yeah, they definitely do, but so far over the past couple of weeks we've seen Montego Bay, they get pretty, they drop points at times when they shouldn't, so they've been drawing a lot of games lately. I think they already should have been in second place. Even the game against Waterhouse that they drew last night, it was a 91st minute equalizer from Navarra Blair that gave Waterhouse that win. So Montego Bay haven't necessarily been too convincing, I would say, over the past couple of weeks. I think that's why they haven't taken over that second position. So I would still say that Arnett Gardens at home, where they're so strong, I do think that they would still be odds-on and favourites to at least maintain that second place going into the rest of the season.
Yeah, well, maybe the hottest battle at this stage, Leger, is that battle for the final playoff spot, that sixth spot, all important sixth spot. Tivoli Gardens, they have done brilliantly to get themselves in contention, and although they have played one game more, they at this stage in pole position, at least based on the pure numbers. Then you have Waterhouse in 7th and Racing in 8th. Who do you make favourites to go on and steal that 6th spot?
I think based on the form that we're seeing, that's a very tough question.
I thought so.
Tivoli are unbeaten in their last 7. I think what Tivoli do on Monday night will tell me a lot about what we're going to see from them for the rest of the season, because Tivoli are a team that goes in ebbs and flows. When they're playing badly and not getting results, they tend to stay in that rut. When they're playing well and grinding out victories, they tend to just keep on pushing and keep on getting wins. So I think just based on the table right now, the games that each team would have left in the season, I would still say Tivoli would be my very, very, very slight favourites to maintain their 6th spot. Racing United, the thing is they have games in hand and people keep on banking on that, but their 2 games in hand are against Mount Pleasant, who aren't necessarily playing their best football right now, granted, and Cavalier, who low-key, people aren't noticing this one, but low-key are almost in and amongst that top 6 clash. If we're to get the table again, they're only 3 points ahead of Tivoli right now. Yes, they have 2 games in hand themselves, but when you bear in mind that their 2 games in hand are against Mount Pleasant, another caveat, Mount Pleasant are not playing their best football right now, and also against Racing United. So if they were to be pegged back by either of those teams, and Rudolph Speed said it himself that he doesn't like the games in hand narrative, because he's a cricket man apparently, and you have to hit what's in front of you. So it's a very interesting battle. I would say Cavalier have dragged themselves into it by their lack of wins lately. They've drawn the most games this season. So, yeah, it's a very intriguing battle, and I think it's going to go all the way down to the final match week.
Yeah, interesting that you use the cricket analogy, because I thought you were going to say runs on the board is runs on the board. I thought that's the one you were going to use.
Maybe he's not that big of a cricket man if he didn't use that analogy.
So here is so it seems to me, based on everything that you just said, that you are favouring Tivoli.
Right now, yes.
Yes, right now, which is fair. And I guess it's not unusual for Jerome Waite coached teams to finish strongly, and I think a large part of that is because he is big on fitness.
Exactly.
And especially because this season is longer than any season we've seen in the Jamaica Premier League. Those teams that are fitter could well end up doing better at this stage of the season, and Tivoli could definitely be among those.
Yeah, you're exactly right, because Tivoli, as I said, they're a very fit team. Obviously, the style of play that they have is very intense on the muscles, intense in terms of fatigue on the players. But I do think that because they are generally a fitter team than many others, they have the legs to go longer in these type of games. Coincidentally, they would have given up a late lead as well against Cavalier in this midweek round, at 88th minute to Shaquille Stein, that equalizer. But I do think that, as I said, everything that's going through my mind right now in terms of this top 6 battle, everything is just all about that Arnett and Tivoli game on Monday. That will show me how serious Tivoli are, and it will show me how well Arnett can deal with adversity a bit.
Yeah. Also in terms of the depth of squad, because when it comes on to this stage of the season, I'm also looking at that, especially for those teams in that top 6 battle. Waterhouse, Tivoli, Racing United. Which of the 3 would you say is in the best position given their depth of squad at this stage?
Well, I would say I wouldn't say Tivoli have a very deep squad. That's first off. Especially in attack, they don't have the options to continuously rotate, or at least they don't have quality in depth. In terms
so
of
there's
Waterhouse,
an issue with their quote-unquote second 11 substitute.
most definitely.
Which is probably why they've been giving up late goals at different points this season.
I think they really only have like a strong 13 or 14 players. Waterhouse, I think, have the best depth amongst the 3 teams, but Marcel Fuzzy-Gale hasn't been rotating as much as I would like him to. and that has led them to some pretty iffy results as of late. Racing United, they don't have the same depth, and the thing is, their depth is very young. And so when you feature now Stevan Spence, Damian Smith, Kadeen Young, like you have been, and for the past couple of weeks, when those players have been starting now, that's when they've started to drop points a bit. And he was actually asked about that following their last game, that drawn result, and he was saying that it's not up to the young players to, or that's the reason why we're dropping points, is just, just luck not going their way. But I do think that is playing a part, because they don't, also like Tivoli, they don't have the same strength in depth that a Waterhouse would have. But Waterhouse, I would say right now, aren't using it the most effectively.
Mariah, do you know what they call racing?
Racing.
What do they call him, Leje?
Racing, the nickname?
Yes.
I'm not quite sure,
You know what, Lance?
No, I'm not sure.
No, but you can tell us.
Stallion Nation.
Why?
Stallion Nation.
I was going to ask you what you know about that.
Stallion Nation.
Yeah.
Nothing. No, but we are up on a break. I know about that one. And Liz, I really hope you get company this weekend after you told everybody.
It would be sad if you don't. I'm going to send. Which venue are you going to be?
Anthony Spalding Sports Complex.
I'm going to send a lovely young lady to come and keep you company. Okay?
Thank you, Ricardo. Up on a break.
No, definitely not.
On a break. Yeah, that's my cue. Break time.